Hello friends, Coach Rick here. Everybody's got a story to tell, and you have one too. I have one. So what I want to do today is I want to help you to tell your story. It's a very important thing that we have something we can refer to when we're talking to other people about us and about trying to tell a compelling story that will have people wanting to hear more about you. Especially if you are doing something like trying to start a business or trying to sell a product or something like that, where people can grasp onto a piece of your story that they may resonate with. So get out your worksheet and let's talk about your story that you're going to need to be able to tell or be able to write and share with others who may be listening to you. So the step one is to write down any self-defeating personal stories that you find yourself repeating. You're going to start out with maybe saying the time or how we always blank. My father was always this. My mother was always that. In our house, we always did this. We always did that. And then I'm going to want you to talk about how you overcame that, so that you're no longer doing it yourself. And which script in your family did you change? So go ahead and do that, and I'll keep talking, but just go ahead and write it down, and I'll kind of talk in the background, monotone a little bit here, tell you a little bit about my story while you're writing down that. For me, one of mine is that my family was broken. Mom and Dad divorced a couple of times. The second time they divorced, my mom and I and my sister were homeless. And when we finally did get a permanent home, it was kind of okay, but then it was another time where we kept moving around and things like that. And ever since then, I've been somewhat of a nomad myself. I was homeless myself when I moved out of my house with my parents, who were kind of estranged, and I moved out when I was 17. And went through a lot of homelessness, stayed in friends' houses, stayed in one room, kind of a Salvation Army house thing for a while, and bounced around in my friends' apartments and things like that, got in and out of their trouble and things. And so I overcame that basically when I got married and went in the Navy. When I went in the Navy, my house was my ship. When I got married, we had to have a house. We started making babies, we had to have a house. But even then, and even now, it's not so much that I want to feel like I need to be homeless, but I still feel like I need to go somewhere else a lot. So, but the epiphany that I had, which is something that you need to write down in number 3, the epiphany I had that made me change my story was that I liked having a home I could call my own. I bought my first house in 1985, and I've been buying homes ever since. I'm not a real estate mogul or anything like that, but I have owned my home or paying the bank for my home pretty much ever since 1985, when my mom was able to help me find my first home. And now I live in one in Virginia, in Reedville. And I've owned or bought, I think, 5 homes now. So still been wandering somewhat, but I've always tried to buy a house. I've not been homeless for a very long time. So, and by the way, the other piece of that triggered this epiphany was, like I said, got married and had my wife and kids and those things, and knew that I needed to have permanent residence. So my wife Judy contributed to that, and my mom contributed to that. in 1985. So in step 3, you want to write down what epiphany made you change your thinking and change that into your story. And how did that change you or benefit you? You need to write that down. So 4 and 5, go ahead and write down what triggered it and how it benefited you. So if someone was sitting in front of you, we should be on number 6 now. If you're not, just keep working through the questions and you'll get there. What will it mean to a visitor or an attendee that's listening to you to know how you overcame that repeating barrier in your life? What will your attendee or visitor gain in listening to that part of your story about you? And then moving into the next one, think about what were some of the most dark times in your life or business experience. Maybe some of you haven't had a business yet, so what were some of your darkest moments in your personal life? Some things are very personal and you don't really want to share them. That's okay, but this is not intended to in any way shine you in a negative light or to make you feel uncomfortable. Remember, this is for you to write down with the idea that you will share your story. So like for your darkest moment, one of my darkest moments was I committed a crime and I got caught. A very dark moment in my life. And so I did that back when I was in my late teens. And I committed a crime that I'm not going to get into details about, but I got caught. I went away for a little bit. And the miracle that happened that changed my life in that was that I understood what it meant to be so desperate, to be so backed into a corner that I did an act that I would never have done if I had been in a balanced family. I would never have done that if I had had a male figure in my life to help me understand how to approach those kind of things in my life and be able to deal with them. I had no real guidance on that. Mom tried, but she wasn't my dad. She wasn't a man. My dad committed suicide when I was 14, so I didn't have any of that. So it was the darkest times in my life. When he committed suicide was probably the darkest one. And I did not overcome that till I was in my 40s. When I went to his gravesite and had a discussion with him about how he was not going to be a burden on my back anymore. So that was number 1. Number 2 was when I committed a crime. Number 3 was when I killed someone by accident. I'm not going to put them in any particular order because they're all very dark times in my life that I don't mind sharing with people because that's a cleansing for me when I can share those things. For the person that I killed by accident, the unexpected wasn't an unexpected miracle at all. What kind of was? I went back to their house, the parents' house, after many years, just to check in, and they invited me in to their home, and they forgave me, and we chatted, and that was an unexpected miracle. I was thinking that I was going to go there and try to help them in some kind of way, any way I could to help make the pain less. And instead, the miracle was that they forgave me. And felt like that the person was in a better place. So that was my unexpected miracle with that visit. The unexpected miracle with the crime piece was that I was given an ultimatum to join the military or serve hard time. And I went and did the military. And it changed my life forever. I think that every young person should do some service to mankind, either in the military or some other way, as they're growing out of teen into adult. There should be some contribution that we make to the betterment of mankind, either in defending our country or community service or something like that, to help us understand what the world is about. So that's 7 and 8. I hope you've been writing these things down, because they're very enlightening to many people. They are going to help you with telling your story to people who you're trying to help, or you're trying to sell a product, or you're trying to help them connect with you in some way. Like, I hope that what I'm telling you right now is helping me connect with you in some way, knowing my life when I was younger, what I was going through, and why I do what I do today. Number 9 is, what gives you the most joy? Write those things down. I know we've been going through the dark side. Let's go through the light side. So, what gives you joy? For me, it's my kids, man. I've got 3 kids by my first wife. I've got 3 kids that my second wife brought with her. I've got 11 grandkids, and one's deceased, bless his heart. But I've got this wonderful family, and we do things here at our house to try to draw them in, make them want to come see us. And so that's one of the most joyous things in my life. In business, it's doing what I'm doing right now. I love being able to talk to people about what's on their mind, and about what's troubling them, and about what you are facing and what you need to overcome, and what I can do to help you get to where you need to be in the next step in your life. That's what brings me joy in life and in business. So you need to write that down. Go ahead. I know you've got some kind of joy in your life. It might be the joy of hanging out with the guys wherever, or it might be going shopping with the girls, or it might be, I don't know, getting your hair done. It might be going to church. It could be any number of things. But in business, I'm not so sure. I think one of you is a business person or an aspiring business person right now. And if you are, that's great. Hope that it will work for you. It will work for you, especially if you use hope in every sentence, of hoping that it'll come true, because you're learning, or you're going to learn, what the true definition of hope is in my world. I'm Rick, and hope is my world. Okay, so what obstacle are you most happy about overcoming? What obstacle are you most happy about overcoming? In my life, I think the biggest obstacle was overcoming my life. I mean, I know that sounds kind of cliche maybe, but the life that I was living up until my 40s was pretty tumultuous, pretty unhinged, until I dealt with the suicide of my dad and the things that I had done in revolting about being left without my dad in my life, because I did not have the kind of guidance and coaching and dad-son relationship that every boy needs to have in order to become a stand-up guy. And I know that continues to be, it continues to be a learning experience for everyone, how to be a stand-up person. But it's particularly difficult to be a stand-up guy if you don't have a stand-up guy to follow and learn from and do in a way that is honorable and charismatic and everything. I mean, it is a struggle if you don't have that person, and I did not have one. And so many of you, I don't know your personal thing, but I don't know if there's anybody in the room that has had that same experience, but it really does suck. And the way I overcame that was, well, let me rephrase that. You don't ever really overcome the fact that you didn't have a dad. But what you do is you find ways to seek out answers. Because let's face it, you're basically on your own when you don't have a father. You really are facing the obstacles of manhood on your own. And if you're lucky enough to be in a certain environment, then you can pull through somewhat. But if you're unlucky enough to be in an environment where mom's poor, you're homeless, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, you really can go down a dark path really fast. So the way that I overcame it was going in the Navy. I was surrounded by men who all had different views of life and different ways of living and that kind of thing. Up until that point, I was only exposed to some pretty troubled individuals themselves. So I wasn't going down a very good path till I went to the Navy. But anyway, so what obstacle are you most happy to overcome? For me, it was overcoming the lack of a man in my life. In business, I'm working on this one still. I'm overcoming and I think all business people do this all the time. You're always looking for better ways to be able to enhance the product and service that you deliver so that you can bring in more clients and bring in more living. So that's something that I'm overcoming all the time. I've overcome a lot of it and still working at it. What is the most important lesson I have ever learned? Oh boy. So write that down in your life and in your business. What is the most important lesson you have ever learned? I think by now you're probably getting me figured out pretty good. I'm almost in tears thinking about this, but the most important lesson I've ever learned is to be a stand-up guy. The most important lesson that we can learn is how to leave a legacy of being a good guy. What does that mean to me? It means being honest. It means being open. It means loving purely. And it means finding your essence in life, your purpose. It means hope, honesty, openness, pure love, essence. And we can get into that more, but if you live your life with honesty, then you can't not be truthful to your humanity, to your being. When you are open, you accept the accountability and responsibility for being the man that you are created to be in your human, in receiving the inherent powers that you have as a man. Loving purely means that you are not able to do anything but love, even if you have to love from a distance. But whatever person you meet, you love without even needing to know that person, because you are pure at heart. Even with all the atrocious things that are going on around the world, you know that deep down every human being has the same inherent traits that you do. They just may be lost. They just may be misguided. So, the last piece, the essence, is finding out what your life purpose is and living it, striving to achieve that life purpose. And the hardest lesson, or the most important lesson I've learned about business is, there's so many, but don't stop. Don't give up. Keep striving for that business, and it will pay you. It will pay back your efforts. Number 12, what setbacks or roadblocks have I experienced in life or business? Well, my roadblocks have been many, and setbacks have been many. This is part of the life journey. And so, my setbacks in my youth were, it seemed like that every time I would go into a relationship with someone, then they would hurt me, and I would have to restart. There were a lot of hurts, and so it took a lot to overcome that and love purely like I do now. But it took, just time and cleansing of myself and connecting with my spirituality and things like that in order for me to be able to get over that. In business, I've had to do a couple of things, like went from for-profit to non-profit, and back to for-profit. Now I've got two. I've got a for-profit and a non-profit that are struggling to get there, but they will. So write those things down. Number 13, what type of story would I categorize the story that is most relevant to my visitors or audience? Epiphany and transformation, I think, is the biggest. I would categorize my story. Because what you don't know, and I haven't shared with you, was the real epiphany in my life that I can share with you real quick. I don't want to run this on too long, but I think we allotted quite a bit of time for this particular exercise. In 1998 is when I had my biggest epiphany. And this was about life in general. This was about my personal journey to understanding. And I'd been meditating for years and been trying to get better in tune with me and my God and the universe. And because believe me when I say to you that there is a higher power, whatever you call it, there is a higher power. And I was hiking one day on a mountain, and I had been meditating all that morning with my mom. And I came around a corner, and I was stopped dead in my tracks. I felt warmth coming to me. I looked up, and just this beautiful, wonderful love energy started flowing into me. And I just stood there for I don't know how long, just bathing in that beautiful energy coursing through me. And it lasted for quite a while, and I knew what it was. It was God, and it was love energy and powerful wisdom energy coming into me. And I'm even feeling it now. And when it finally stopped, I was so elated and so pumped. Because for so many years I'd been studying things about God and the Bible and even alternative things, manifesting and love energy and all those things. And to have that happen that particular day on the mountain with my mom, she was back in the lodge, but it was when I started hiking back, I was not on ground level. I was way up in the clouds looking around, and came back down, went into the lodge with my mom, and she didn't recognize me as the old Rick. She called me her son, and this streak of white that's in my hair. I mean, you can't probably see it because there's a light on it, but there was a permanent streak of white in my hair after that, and every once in a while the energy continues to come through me and things like that. So that was the biggest epiphany and transformation in my life, and ever since it's been a journey in that direction. And that's why I coach you. That's why I do what I do now, because with that transformation came the model for hope. And so that's where I'm at. And that was my greatest relevance into what I want to share with you. So I hope you wrote yours down. Check the box. Excuse me for coughing. I'm still overcoming a little bit of a virus I had the last couple of weeks. Now, here's the ending of this thing. It's now time to write your story. The most exciting or interesting opening line you can think of. Start at the heart of the problem. It may not be completely clear to you until you finish writing it. Excuse me. So write down the problem. You can write down it in parts. So where my life really started. Where my life really started was on that mountain in 1998. Well, no, actually, the problem started back when my dad committed suicide. It was a disaster that I didn't think I would ever get over. I didn't get over for a very, very long time. When your dad commits suicide, it is, I mean, he hadn't been in my life much at all, but he did, when he did that, it was like there was no chance ever again to even come close. So what I did about it was I really went into a dark time where I was bent on destruction and destroying those around me, and it hurt a lot of people. And that didn't work. And my lowest point was when I had to go in the Navy to avoid hard time. I'd already killed somebody. I'd already done a lot of things. And so that was my lowest point. And then my epiphany moment, out of the box, third lieutenant twist of transformation, was 1998. Of course, I'd gone in the Navy and come out and done all those things. But the 1998 transformation was on that mountaintop. It was very, 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 I've been working toward it for many years, but that was it. That was it when it really got me. So that's that story. That taught me that there is a higher power. And I hope you're writing these things down. Follow with me. You do your part. I'm doing mine. I'm sharing with you, okay? That taught me that there is a higher power. That we're all connected. That I needed to be able to continue to grow with that. I needed to constantly be on the alert for blockages and setbacks. Because even after that, there are still times when I have setbacks and I have to catch myself and go back to work and get back to where I'm supposed to be. So my solution to what all that taught me was to begin talking about it, was to begin sharing it with people. And I've been doing that ever since. I wrote a book called Hope Your Essence Navigation System. That was my call to action when I was laying in bed one night. I received a message of hope, honesty, openness, pure love, and essence. Sometimes the O is omnipotence, which is godlike power, but openness gets us where we need to be. So that's my call to action. I'm here doing it, and I do it all the time, and this is what I strive to do with my life. So that's my life story. So I'm glad that you filled this out with me. I hope that you've completed it. If not, continue to work on it. And I'll see you soon. Have a great day. And remember, this is your story, and it's very important that we get that done. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye.